set, thank you, Chris. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the April 4, 2023 meeting of the Orangetown Planning and Zoning Commission. I am Commissioner Ozzie Parenti. We have with us this evening,
Paul Kaplan.
Is your mic on? I'm sorry.
I don't think it is.
Can we do a take two on that?
Yes.
I wanna make sure we
Take
got
two?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember who you are?
I'm Judy Smith.
July. I go by July.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the April 4, 2023 meeting of the Orangetown Plan and Zoning Commission. I am Commissioner Ozzie Parenti. We have a limited number of commissioners with us this
It's all
evening.
right. Paul Kaplan will take one.
And Judy
And
Smith.
Judy Smith.
And we're missing Kevin Cornell and Tom Tarenti tonight, but we do have a quorum, so
We do.
Jack Demergent.
Yes, Jack Demergent, zoning administrator.
All right. First item on our agenda this evening is a review of the minutes from the March 21, 2023 meeting. I had no comments, no changes. Judy?
I don't have any edits. Nope.
Yep.
You spelled immersion right. Good job.
It's a tough one.
Move that we approve the March 21, 23 minutes.
All right, we have a motion to approve the minutes,
I will second that motion.
seconded by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Item 2 on our agenda, old business. Anybody have anything they want to bring up under that topic?
The only thing I have is that language for renewable energy structures that is going to get sent out this week, so I would expect that on our next,
Talk about the ones on the front wall.
yeah, where we went back and forth for, solar panels, things like that. I'm going to be sending those out to the regional planning authorities this week, so in our probably 2 or 3 meetings, that'll be on our agenda.
All right, sounds good.
How's it work?
Working on Firelight, it seems to be they're moving pretty quickly down there.
Quick, yeah, them and Smith Farm Road, too.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I think they want to obviously be advertising units for the summer. As for what their exact time frame is, I would put it somewhere around there, but I could definitely check in with the building department too and come back with something.
Okay.
How about the project on the Post Road?
On the Post Road.
one?
Oh, the medical building?
Yeah.
Also moving along. I know they had stopped there.
Looked like they had stopped.
They had stopped there for a little while.
This is 1233? The,
Near Webster?
235.
235?
Is, yeah, where the old trailer park was.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, across from
Orthopedic group.
Dutchess. Yep. Yes. So they had stopped for I think a couple weeks there, but they're back
on.
in the swing of things.
All
Yep.
right.
all right.
All right, sounds good. I can't think of anything else under old business that we need to talk about. How about under new business? Same?
Yep.
Okay. Be a quick meeting tonight. Jack, you have a report for us?
Nothing too major. I was out a little bit for a few days last week on vacation, so I'm coming back kind of working through what's been piled up. We are getting into our nicer weather, so a lot of residential applications are going to be coming through. We've started having the pools, additions, decks, things like that coming through this week. So I'm sure those will be in full swing like every other year when it gets warm. But other than that, I don't have too much
How about the project on Ridge Road?
on Ridge. Basically completed from
Completed
what I know. Yeah, I could
certificate of
definitely.
occupancy,
I
zoning
would have to check
compliance?
with the building department on that. but
What did I miss on Ridge?
The extra large addition,
Oh.
The yeah
denied.
the sporting facility.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I get asked about that more than anything.
Me too.
All right. All right, is that it?
Yep.
I think so.
I guess we'll take a 5-minute break until our stenographer shows up.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we have one public hearing this evening, which we'll take care of after our break.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. All right, thank you, Chris. All right, welcome back, everyone. Okay, next item on our agenda is our sole public hearing for this evening. It's a petition to amend the Orange zoning regulations. It's been submitted by OSJ of Orange Post LLC. And the request is to amend Section 383-121 of the regulations to permit additional outdoor display and storage outside retail stores in the C1 and C2 zones. Let's start by having our secretary read the legal notice.
All righty. To appear one time on Tuesday, March 21st, 2023, and one time on Tuesday, March 28th, 2023, the Orange TPZC Notice of Public Hearing. Notice is hereby given that on Tuesday, April 4 at 7 p.m. at the Orange Town Hall, 617 Orange Center Road, the Orange Town Plan Zoning Commission will conduct a public hearing on the following. It's a petition to amend the Orange zoning regulations submitted by OSJ of Orange Post LLC to amend Section 383-121C of the Orange zoning regulations to permit an additional outdoor display and and storage outside retail stores in the C1 and C2 zones. A copy of this notice has been filed with the Orange Town Clerk. Additional information is on file in the Orange Zoning Department. Dated in Orange, Connecticut, this 20th day of March, 2023.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Okey dokey.
All right, is the applicant present?
Yes, where would you like me to?
Please come to the podium here.
Oh, okay. Shouldn't have expected that.
Now you like your old chair.
Okay, let me see here.
There's a lot of microphones. Okay. For the
We
record.
usually sing songs later.
And a
That's why
soft
we have
cue.
one.
I didn't think I'd ever work.
Okay, so for the record, my name is Megan Miles. I am a land use attorney at Carmody, Torrance, Sandock, and Hennessy, with my office at 195 Church Street in New Haven. Here tonight for a text amendment application. Also with me tonight is a couple members of my team. They're not going to present, but they're available if you have any additional questions. It's my colleague Dan Chappell at Carmody, and then also Evan Portnow, who is the Director of Store Development at Ocean State Job Lot. So they're here tonight for any questions. The applicant is OSJ of Orange Post LLC. They are a property owner in Orange. They own 53 Boston Post Road. It's a retail building on the Post Road near the West Haven line. It has 2 tenant spaces. One is, I believe, currently a PetSmart, and the other space is formerly at the Best Buy. And then currently Ocean State Job Lot is undergoing tenant fit out to take the Best Buy space. So they're going to be moving in. Best Buy is now gone.
Best Buy left already?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so Ocean State Job Lot's moving in. They also bought the property, and it's next door to the Target site. So it's zoned C2, so it's in the C2 zone. The application tonight is just a text amendment in order to permit additional outdoor display and storage at retail stores of a certain size in the C1 and C2 zones. So to explain the existing regulation, the section is 383-121, and it governs outdoor display and storage in Orange's commercial and industrial zones. It is a very comprehensive text. It's 4 pages long, detailing all the regulations to restrict, regulate
Are you going to be
outdoor.
able to tell us what it means?
We're control freaks.
I'm actually here for just a very small subset of it. So it's a very comprehensive regulation, and ultimately it does require special permit review to even have outdoor display and storage. So then compounded with that is the general special permit regulations in Orange. So currently, under the regulations, if you have a retail store or building that's greater than 75,000 square feet, but really the way it's written, 100,000 square feet, you can have up to 3,500 square feet of outdoor storage and display with special permit approval. But if the building is under 75,000 square feet, you can only have 10 square feet of outdoor display and storage against the building. You can have another 50 square feet in the parking lot, but that's not ideal for retail tenants because they want to maximize available parking. So I was going to put this on the ground, but it actually seems a little dramatic, but I did bring a tape measure. This is 10 square feet. So this is 5 feet right here. let the record reflect I have a tape measure and I'm doing
You need to
5
stay
feet.
near the, you need to stay near the microphone, so,
Oh.
sorry.
Okay. So this is 5 feet right here, and then by 2 feet,
Keep going back.
that's it. No, this is 5 feet. So this is it. 5 feet
Oh, by two.
by
2
2
feet.
is all that's
10 square
permitted
feet.
outside a
10
retail
square feet.
center the size of a Best Buy in Orange currently. And so there's no incentive for retailers to go through the special permit process, public hearings, application fees to only get 10 square feet of permitted outdoor display and storage against their buildings. So it really ultimately, in its current drafting, has a chilling effect on encouraging compliance by retailers in Orange. So the application that's pending before you tonight is an effort to modify the regulations to permit a workable standard for outdoor display, particularly focused on seasonal items, which is what's characteristic of New England retailers. So seasonal items would be things like flowers in the spring and summer, and then the holidays, things like, you know how typically outside Stop and Shop you'll see wreaths and poinsettias and other holiday decors, pretty standard. So that was the goal in the language that's proposed, is to facilitate that type of outdoor display. Let me see here. So as specifically proposed in the application, the total outdoor display area that would be permitted for all types of outdoor display and storage is 26 square feet on the sidewalk, maintaining the 50 square feet in the parking lot, but increasing 10 square feet to 26 square feet. And then for retail tenants of a certain size, such as the size of the Best Buy space on the Post Road, an additional 185 square feet on the sidewalk is permitted for display and storage of seasonal items only. So we included in our application package how that would look against the Best Buy, former Best Buy, future Ocean State job lot
And
store.
when you say the sidewalk, you're talking about immediately adjacent to the building?
Exactly, yes. So typically you have the raised sidewalk against the building. And the current regulations, I believe, requires that there still be 6 feet of pedestrian walkway along the sidewalk. So that's not proposed to be changed. That can still be possible. I think it can't be higher than 6, maybe it's 10 feet and then 6 feet high. I have the reg, I can double check. So that's not proposed to be changed at all. So those standards to facilitate safe circulation, not like super tall displays, that's not changed in connection with this application. It's just strictly to increase the size of what's permitted on the sidewalk. So we included in our application package some plans for context about how really small scale the proposal is in context of the storefront as a whole. And then we also included some images of how these displays typically look. They probably weren't very surprising to you because, as I said, they're pretty standard at retail stores in New England. But we also included those photos, and that's typically what Ocean State Job Lot does at other stores.
Your first name is Bill?
Megan.
Megan, sorry. The one that you showed with the, flowers.
Yeah.
It seems to have usurped the entire, I got it. Sorry, Chris. It seems to have usurped the entire sidewalk. That's not what you're proposing over at Best Buy, at the
That's
new Ocean
correct.
State.
That is
I don't
that's
think
another store.
They'd be able to.
Right.
Not under the current regulation, that's correct.
It's a different section of the
Yeah.
regs, but
And on the same drawing, Megan, you show Blue Rhino propane tanks.
So, yes, that is what would be considered general outdoor storage and display. So not a seasonal item. Again, propane tanks, outdoor storage like that is fairly standard for large retailers in this area, but under the current standard, 10 square feet, you can maybe get one propane
Right. Right.
situation, and typically there's at least like 3 or 4. So again, this is a proposed modification that really reflects the typical scale of retail today.
So I know this is a text amendment, but will you be coming up with a site plan down the road?
That is the goal.
Okay.
Assuming that this is approved, we would
Yep.
come back as soon as possible for special permit review.
Because then the
Yes.
fire marshal would have a look at that and just wait, just sign off.
Correct.
Okay.
And Jack would have to review and confirm that we met every other standard under the outdoor storage and display regulations and that sort of thing. So that is the goal.
just trying to.
And-
So, I mean, as you know, any text amendment is townwide.
I understand
So
that.
I think we need to take a little time to look at all the other buildings that will now be affected by this proposed. And maybe you have a list.
So we did drive around down
Great.
Route 1, and so a lot of stores are actually already doing this,
Yes.
as you probably figured. So I do have some photos, if I can
That'd be
submit to
great.
the record.
Yep. Who knows, maybe they'll be conforming soon.
We finally got them conforming. Can't beat 'em
Aren't we
going.
good?
Apparently some credit is due to Trader Joe's, who only had one 10-square-foot storage thing outside filled with watermelons, is my understanding. So Trader Joe's gets,
They need the propane tanks.
gets some, yeah, they get some credit. So here you go.
Thank you.
I'll pass them around. This way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Just two more. Thank you.
Thanks.
So some of these may be in Orange, some are in Milford, I believe, because we just went down Route 1 to get examples from the area. But this is pretty standard, like Home Depot,
These are
Whole
Home Depots.
Foods.
I mean, these are over 100,000 square feet boxes.
They're at least over 40,000 square feet, which is what the regulation
Oh, okay.
contemplates, yeah. The Ocean State job lot space, I think would be around 52,000, is around 52,000 square feet? 45,000 square feet, okay, so it's a little, this rig would be applicable to stores the size of Ocean State job lot and larger. So for example, the PetSmart space on this site, I don't
Right.
know this would extend to it exactly. But Target, probably yes.
I think what you were asking about is covered under subsection F, Paul, where an outdoor display area is located on a sidewalk and/or walkway. An unobstructed portion of the sidewalk and/or walkway measuring not less than 6 feet in width shall be continuously maintained for pedestrian access and
That's
no,
not being changed.
and that is not, that's my understanding.
Correct.
But, yeah, that's critical to me. And that people are in the parking lot, that's what we're at.
Yeah, no, I understand that. So in our application materials, we listed a number of reasons in support of this application. I'll list them again here while I have you. It permits limited outdoor display and storage in a manner that is characteristic of other retailers along the shoreline, but it still preserves special permit review to make sure that there's no adverse impacts on patrons, adjacent tenants, owners, that sort of thing. As I indicated, the current standard isn't workable and clearly really isn't being followed in the area. And so the proposed square feet reflects actual needs and reasonable scope. And really, these retailers in the area are well known for the outdoor seasonal displays. They tend to be modest in the context of the full big box store. And often the outdoor display of flowers and seasonal items is usually aesthetically pleasing and a nice visual improvement to just really the large big box store that's characteristic of Route 1. Really breaks up the entryway, incorporates landscaping, that sort of thing.
What do you think, I mean, what was our thinking on
No, it was Home,
distinguishing?
it was
I
Home
would like the way you
Depot.
start that
Home
question.
Depot.
Distinguishing between 40, 75, 100?
No, we're 75, so they have to be a minimum of 75, right?
No, she's.
Under the old.
This is-
Under the old.
So on the current standard, if you're over 75,000 square feet, you get up to 3,500 square feet of outdoor display and storage. If you're
Kinda
under,
says that.
you only get 10. It kind of says that.
Right.
It's actually really
It'd be nice to
100,000.
clean that up while we're at it.
It actually is really 100,000.
Yeah,
So
because
100,000.
Well, that's 1A, it says standalone
Yeah.
buildings of 75,000 square feet or multi-tenant shopping plazas with a single tenant occupying at least 75,000 square feet, period. It doesn't say anything after that. Then it goes on to say, for buildings having an at-grade area of 100,000 square feet or more, the outdoor display area shall not exceed 3,500 square feet. I think that doesn't make sense to me, you know? And a similar sort of problem with subsection B.
Exactly. So
And
this
so
was an effort to clean that up.
What's the importance of I mean, supposing you had a shopping plaza where no buildings or no space was,
Over 75.
or over 45, I mean, why can't they have outdoor display areas?
Well, that was the thinking of the commission at the time. They were just trying
Well,
to
that's what I-
regulate
that's
the
why- what
the
were
bigger
we
box
thinking?
stores.
I mean, what would be, I mean, pick, like, Well, Christmas tree
It
shop's
was
not a-
mostly for Home Depot. And they wanted to put maybe fertilizers outside, and there were some people near Indian River that were concerned about pollution and stuff,
Well,
so-
plus also, I mean,
Way
we didn't
back.
really get into it, and we should, I guess, but if there were a number of smaller retailers.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Then you'd have to, it'd be one after another, after another, after another. It may be, in other words, here we're talking about 40 to 50, 40 to 75, and we're looking at 185.
Oh, yeah, 185.
If each of them had that same ability, the 185, and they're much smaller, it may not be aesthetically something that we can deal with, or
Well-
that we want to deal with.
We'd have no I mean, their landlord might have an issue with it. In other
Well, I
words, if
think,
you
I
have a
think there
shopping.
was an aesthetic component to
Yeah,
it.
that's my
Back in the day.
recollection.
I mean, take, what's the Hitchcock Plaza, or, the Peck and Post, or whatever. I mean, any of the smaller,
And Peck and Post is a better alternative. You got a lot of small retailers up there.
and what if they wanted to have an outdoor display? What
We're
would
gonna have
be,
display after display after display after display.
It's not permitted.
I know, but I'm saying we have an opportunity now to amend the regulations, would we?
I don't necessarily, I think we need to really think about this, not in this
Right,
context.
right,
We have
right.
our friend Megan over here, but
Right.
I do think that we need to give it some more thought, because there was some component as to the size, as to what they had the ability to.
Oh, I know,
display
that's
wares.
what, that's,
Yeah.
looked like, I mean, it almost looked like we were setting up a thing where if it was from 40 to 75,
Mhm.
you could do X.
Right,
If it was from 75 to 100, you could do Y.
a lot bigger.
And
what I-
greater than, there's nothing that speaks to anything greater than 100,000 square feet,
Right.
or anything less than 40,000.
Right.
And is that intentional, or is?
Well, no, that's Megan's proposal. The 40 to 75 is new.
So actually, can I jump in?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Please, save us from ourselves.
No, no.
So the
yeah.
range from 0 to, under the proposal, the range from 0 to 40,000 square feet would be as proposed, 26 square feet on the sidewalk and 50 square feet in the parking lot. What this proposal does is create a new range for 40,000 to 75,000 square feet, and that would be the additional 185 square feet of seasonal items. And then, I actually have to correct that. So from zero to 75,000 square feet, you would get 26 square feet on the sidewalk, 50 square feet in the parking area, and then an additional 185 square feet for storage and display of seasonal items only. For tenants that are 0 to 40,000 square feet, you still get the 26 square feet on the sidewalk and 50 square feet in the parking area. You just wouldn't get the additional seasonal item displays. So you still get the limited bit. Yes, so I have that right. And then the regulations as drafted actually has a gap from 75,000 to 100,000 square feet. As I read it, you're probably not permitted to have anything. And then from 100,000 square feet on, you can have up to 3,500 square feet.
So with our current reg, 0 to 75 is currently permitted what?
Currently, it's permitted 10 square feet on the sidewalk and 50 square feet in the parking area. So we propose to slightly increase what's permitted on the sidewalk at all times, and then add another special standard for 40,000 to 75,000 square foot tenants that, for seasonal items only.
So, the term is outdoor display, it's not seasonal items, outdoor display of seasonal items.
So,
So if you're Home Depot and you put snow blowers out there in November or whatever, that's a seasonal item.
yeah.
And then you have to, when March rolls around, April, you have to take them out. Jack has to go there and say,
Right.
get the snow blowers out.
I think the interpretation of seasonal item is up in the air here, where I agree.
undefined, yeah.
It's undefined.
You want to even try to define it?
I mean, do we really care?
I was gonna say, I don't,
Each retailer is gonna be different for
e-
seasonal.
right, right.
And they'd have to come in for special permit review.
Yeah, so
And
They're not gonna
if
put
Home
anything
Depot's-
ridiculous out there, I mean,
Right.
for,
Right.
Yeah.
Right, or if
Just
there
to-
is, we'd be able to, it'll be again, special permit.
Right, we would have the chance to review prior to,
The snake store is not gonna, put snakes out there.
So if we
can't
came
think
back
of
for
what
special
it is.
permit review for Ocean State Job Lot, we'd be prepared to explain what a seasonal item would consist of for Ocean State Job Lot.
on the record, right?
Yeah,
which-
like
Which we
this
could
is-
refer to back later.
This is
if-
typically
right.
what they display at various
Right.
seasons. So, is that fair? Yeah, okay.
There's a sentence in A that just doesn't, it stands alone and doesn't mean anything. The first sentence, standalone buildings of 75,000 square feet or multi-tenant shopping centers, a single tenant of at least 75,000.
period, I know, that's what I said, it doesn't
Oh,
say,
I just, he's yelling at me.
Who?
He's there, he's looking at me.
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah.
He's got you in his sights again.
But doesn't B have, the first sentence in B have the same problem?
Standalone buildings less than 75,000, or multi-tenant shopping plazas with tenants occupying less than 75, and it just stops.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, well, we're gonna have to do
I
some.
think I must have been taking a nap that night.
It wasn't just you, you may have not been here, it may
I
have
don't
been
know, it was
Judy and
us.
I.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
also
we were very
note,
young.
for
Yes.
purposes of the record, that I had to call Jack to discuss this regulation in its current form
Well,
to
don't blame it on
understand it.
Yeah,
Born when we wrote
I
it.
know, and so he's just trying to do his best.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I
We
did also.
came to the kind of the same conclusion
Yeah.
that it's very vague the way it sits now.
Shouldn't
Right.
we try to arrive at what we're really interested in having, and then write the language
To support it. Yeah.
to codify that, right now?
On the other hand, the applicant's entitled to rely on what we
Right,
have and
right.
ask the change
Right.
now.
Right.
Not
You know, I'm not
Not-
saying,
Yeah.
do it 2 years from now, I'm
Right.
saying, we should make this right if we're inclined to.
Right.
Also, to the extent that you're inclined in the future to clean up this reg, Jack and I also discussed how it skips between display and storage. And he let me know that the practice in town has been to use them synonymously for purposes of this, and they don't enforce like strict removing it after 24 hours, that sort of thing.
Well-
So that's,
The storage is
Yeah.
like, you see those racks at Home Depot with all the mulch on it.
yeah,
Right.
and it's like the
That's
propane.
storage, not,
Right.
not
Exactly.
display.
Display per
Right.
se, right.
Display is the snow blowers.
Right, displaying,
Yeah,
you
and the
know,
grills.
this,
And the grills.
displaying price.
And the grills.
Seasonal,
Right.
seasonal
Yeah.
display.
Exactly.
So I get
we were
the-
comfortable with that interpretation in practice, but just noting that as well. That that's
Based on
been a
what we saw, the
discrepancy.
term storage and display were
Yeah.
not meant to exactly mean the same thing, but were to be regulated in the same fashion, regardless of whether it was storage or display.
Yes. But we've proposed a very specific regulation for purposes
And you-
of certain retail tenant
Yeah.
size.
I mean, there's a reference in here in G. If the Town Plan and Zoning Commission determines that the standards are met, then the outdoor display may be permitted for a period not to exceed 4 months. Does that mean that the display has to be changed? I mean,
That's just in the parking areas, I
Is
think.
that just the parking areas?
Um,
I'm not sure of that.
yeah, that's in, G's governs outdoor display areas within existing
Oh,
parking
okay.
spaces.
That's like a tent sale. They put a tent up in a parking lot.
I think that relates only to parking, right? Displays in the parking area.
And Megan, the
That's difficult for me to
185
enforce, too.
square feet, is that gonna be, is there any parameters in terms of width and length at all?
I don't think so. I think you're indirectly affected by the width of the sidewalk.
And as long as there's 6 feet that's allowed for circulation for the clientele,
Yeah,
you're gonna be able to use it any way you want.
yeah.
Okay.
How
My
do-
understanding is that it's retailers' interest to keep it near the doorway, so that's likely where it'd be placed. But if they have to meet the 6-foot pedestrian circulation, then
So how did you arrive at 1.8? Just curious. I mean, is there any magic to that, or?
it's what Ocean State
Yeah.
Jobbers typically uses. So we felt that was indicative of standard demands of retailers.
So how big is that space?
It is, You know what? I can get that for you. Give me 1 second.
9 by 20, 10 by 20, 10 by 20 is 200.
Why, 185 is 37 by 5.
Well, we could play this game all day.
Well, I know, but I'm just, what did you say it was?
I thought it was like 9 by 19.
Oh, you were asking for the
No,
space
no,
of the
it's one-
outdoor.
it's one by
Trying to
185.
get their tape ruler out.
I'm sorry, it's
It's
so,
45 and change, I think. 45,000 square feet space that will soon be an Ocean State job.
Oh, that was in your
That's in your
application, yeah,
Yes.
right, okay.
Yes.
yeah,
Right.
that's
So
right.
40,000, the building in total is 58, but again, that's including the PetSmart. For Ocean State, the Best Buy tenant location is 45 and change.
yes.
So under our regulations, Best Buy could have outdoor displays, an outdoor display, but the pet store couldn't.
Under our current, yes.
So-
And they're not proposing to change that, so.
No, is this something that we ought to consider changing?
So just to jump in the existing regulation, a standalone building less than 75,000 square feet can have up to 10 square feet on the sidewalk. So conceivably, that could be 5 for PetSmart and 5 for Best Buy or something that wouldn't happen. But conceivably, they could divide it between the spaces. As this is drafted, it's more focused on the size of the actual tenant space for seasonal items. So a situation actually like this site where you have 2 tenants, but one is significantly larger than the other, the rights for seasonal storage only apply to the larger space.
So standalone buildings of less than 75,000 square feet, that would be the building, that would be your building. That's what
Correct.
you're talking about. Or multi-tenant shopping plazas with tenants occupying less than 75,000 square feet in the aggregate.
Arguably, we'd be both.
Right.
Yeah, I think we'd qualify under both of those classifications.
Because it is technically multi-tenant with,
But technically one large building with.
But it doesn't change the number.
Doesn't change the
Doesn't
number of
change the
10,
size.
10 square, I mean, under the current regulation, we're talking about 10 square feet, right?
Correct.
correct.
In the sidewalk and 50 in the parking,
Mhm.
yeah.
I don't know, I mean, you know, I feel like we ought to cooperate with the business community. I mean, if this makes sense from a business standpoint, I don't see any real problem with it, but I just think our regulations are so poorly drafted that I don't even know, you know, I don't know about, whether it makes sense to have a multi-tenant shopping plaza, or, you know, why not? I'd like to understand better why they're not included. I mean, there's certain uses that would lend themselves to outside storage, others that wouldn't. You know, outdoor displays, others that wouldn't.
You're not,
I
you're
mean,
not talking about the storage as much as the display,
Well, I mean, like, right. I mean,
for
I'm
the
not-
smaller
Yeah,
retailers.
I mean, like, if it was you know, an ice cream shop or something, that you don't really have an outdoor display
Mhm.
of what, you know, you don't put
Yeah,
ice
it
cream
wouldn't
cones out
apply.
there, right? But if you had a pet store, you might.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
You
think,
put little dog houses out there, I don't know.
right, well, before I act on
You-
this, I think I'd want to see where else it affects. I'd like you to take a look at C2s and see what else is out there.
I think most of our C2 zone would qualify as multi-tenant shopping plazas with less than 75,000 square feet. Again, that's just off the top of my head, but I think that's how most of them would qualify, as we don't have a lot of these 2-tenant large buildings. We certainly have some, especially towards this end of the post road.
Right.
As we get towards Milford, we have more of these
Multi-
smaller tenants with obviously more of them
So we need
per
to
building.
see how that's going to play with the multi-tenant buildings that are, this would create a 40 to 75 class,
Right.
which they would have to split between them. Is that the way this is going to work? If there are 5 tenants in there and it's over 40,000 square feet, is the 185 per tenant for display?
As drafted, it looks like it's per tenant. Oh, but we discussed this. So It's technically per tenant, but the math, if you do the math, you can't have more than one. Because say you have a 40,000 square foot tenant and then another 40,000 square foot tenant, that's 80,000 square feet, which tips you into subsection A.
Well, what if you have a 40 and a 35?
Then the 35 doesn't qualify for the seasonal because it's under 40.
Okay. Where were you when we drafted this the first
I,
time?
I know.
I still feel like we're missing something. So if there were a whole bunch of them that were under 40, then we don't have to worry about it because they're not going to qualify under the new, better regulation.
There's a slight increase from 10 to 26 square feet
Yeah.
on the sidewalk, which would be generally applicable.
Right, but in terms of the outside, the display, so to speak, yeah.
They wouldn't be affected.
Yeah, they wouldn't qualify for the larger portion.
Right.
They would qualify for 26.
And they don't have that now? They would go
They
for
have 10 now.
10 now.
Yeah. So you could say, you know, those smaller plazas as we get towards Milford,
Right.
every tenant there could have, under this proposal, 26 square
I'm
feet.
thinking
as
about
opposed to
the
10.
501, what's that over there, where the bar is in the corner pocket used to be in there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think
Liberty.
of.
That technically-
Liberty.
Liberty Plaza, yep.
Yeah.
But each tenant, or if we don't feel this language covers that, we should make sure that each tenant would have to come in for their special permit.
I think that's the way it's gotta be,
I
because
would-
I don't even know what the sidewalk
I would
situation
think
is
so
there.
too, yeah.
I mean, one of the Arts Taylors, I don't know if he's still there, but there's not a big sidewalk there. 2 by 13.
No, definitely not big, yeah.
Right, is,
Or the little shopping center where Andini's is, right?
Mhm.
There's some businesses there that would probably do well with some outside
I
display.
don't have any problem with it. The question is if they're gonna take it so that the people have to walk into the parking lot in order to get from business to business. In other words, how,
If it's
Well,
on the
that,
sidewalk.
that,
Well,
that I think is already prohibited under our regulations.
may
right,
not
then
even-
it's an enforcement issue.
No, it's
It's,
Well, Jack has to see it, just like, you know, not to get anyone
Right,
in
yeah.
trouble, but
It's
where's the
subset-
sidewalk?
it's
well, that would
subsection
fit-
F.
yeah,
So
exactly.
that wouldn't be permitted.
This
This
is
is
not permitted.
regulation.
Put it on this
F.
one.
Go get 'em,
We'll do
Parker.
it.
And the other concern, I remember way back, staying out of the fire zone, which of course everybody
Oh,
would
Jamie.
want to, that's law abiding, but sometimes a retailer, maybe they, you know,
Yeah.
Only for an
So-
hour. Only for
Right,
2
it does say, yeah, portion of the sidewalk not less than 6 feet.
Yeah,
So-
F.
Right, so if a,
By definition, if it was a 6-foot sidewalk.
they can't get, right, they wouldn't qualify under the special
Okay.
permit criteria.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But I
Yeah,
do
and that
think,
whole shopping plaza would be out of play then.
basically, unless they were to improve their sidewalk, but I think we should be,
They would do that at the risk of losing parking.
yeah,
That's a whole-
and they'd have to come in for a site plan.
It's a whole different
So,
McGilla.
But I think we should be vigilant of whether we go per building, you know, or per tenant. I think obviously per tenant would be more in our favor, so every tenant, if you want outdoor display or storage, you would have to come in front of us individually.
Well, it doesn't work if it's per building, right? You're gonna have to split it between the tenants? No, it doesn't make any sense, but the tenants, there's only, if it's 75,000 and there are small, or let's say 40,000, but there's a bunch of small tenants there and one larger tenant, I think Megan was alluding to this before.
Yeah.
The little guys don't get anything, which may be okay. I don't know what we're,
Well, that would probably be covered under their leases, right?
yeah, but still, what does the reg say? That's what the lease is gonna
Right.
say,
Right.
you can do whatever's within the confines of the
Right, but
regulations.
the regs won't allow it.
So for some more context, this happens a lot with multi-tenant buildings. I'm thinking of signage. Like typically, a building frontage is allotted a certain amount of signage
Yeah.
rights, and it's up to the landlord to allocate that between tenants. So this would likely be a similar circumstance where the landlord has to allocate various display rights to tenants in their lease.
So that would be if we did per building, that would be worked out just by the market.
Right, signage we do per tenant.
Oh,
We
okay.
do signage per tenant.
So then it wouldn't be a huge deviation to do this by
yeah, I
tenant.
think we should do this by tenant and be
Right.
consistent.
All right. I still like to see
So-
go ahead.
So, I mean, we have two very brilliant commissioners missing tonight, and I
They're the
think
brains of the operation.
And I mean, I think Paul and I would want to sort of be able to visualize who are the 40s, who are the 40,000 square foot, you know,
In C2s,
in
yes.
C2s and C1. So I don't see an issue with going forward, but I think if we could wait 2 weeks to take a vote, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you would be providing any additional information to the record, then
Absolutely.
You'll
we
get
should
it.
probably keep it open.
Oh, no,
Okay,
I'm
all
sorry,
right.
the
keep it
public
open.
hearing will
Yeah,
be
absolutely.
kept
open.
It's a
We have to
public
answer
hearing
the
Absolutely,
questions.
Of course,
Okay.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I think
Do you
that's-
think there's some work on this we could do in the interim, or?
Then you have to notice.
No, just for discussion purposes as we continue with this application.
I think what Paul suggested is kind of getting a feel for what's out there right now, size,
Before-
yeah,
right.
right. But I think we have a proposal in front of us
Right.
from an applicant. I think, judging by our conversation tonight, it might be something that the commission might want to, after,
Yeah,
the
the-
applicants, a decision would be made that we, upon our own initiative,
If we want to clean it up.
amend some of our.
Right. I wouldn't tie it
language
to
here.
this.
Right,
Well, it wouldn't matter, would it? I mean, if we were all in agreement, if the applicant agreed with the changes
I guess it would depend on the changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
wanna
if we,
notice
if we
it, yeah.
approve Ocean State or Megan's application, and then we decide to make changes afterward, I mean, they're protected, I would
Yeah,
imagine, right?
they are, right.
So,
Mhm.
it is what it is.
I guess what I'm suggesting, and put the language aside for, I think this is an opportunity to get it right. And we should focus on that. I mean, I don't wanna, pass an amendment to the regulation that it's gonna be, continue to be confusing for us when we have to deal with the next one.
So you're suggesting that we clean it up first and then deal with the application?
I think we should,
No.
See,
know,
see,
address the-
what I would like to do is see the impact of this,
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
amendment.
I'm not, I
And
don't,
that might just be good enough at the end of the day. And we don't need to, clean it up.
but we have the same discrepancies then going, or the same.
Yeah, from 75 to 100 is not clear.
Lack of clarity
Yeah.
going forward, and there's no reason.
I
not
think
to fix
whatever,
it.
whatever language the commission, if upon their own initiative would decide to change, I don't think would greatly affect the applicant in front of us tonight, because their language that would directly affect them is what we're looking at now. So I think if we were to come back on our own initiative and address some of the language that we want to clean up, I don't think it would be of great significance to
So
the
you're-
applicant. Again, correct me if I'm
yeah,
wrong,
no,
but
you're
I don't
right.
think it would be of great significance to them.
You're saying leave A the way it is for now.
I think we look at the.
And look at B,
Yeah, look at what was proposed in front of us now.
Yeah.
Take Paul's suggestion and kind of see what other,
We'll clean
what
that
other, what
section
other,
up first.
exactly, what other
Yeah.
places this would apply to, and then pending that vote,
you
if
think
we
we'd have
still.
to, you think we'd have to, on our own initiative, change anything
I
other
think that
than-
would be
Yes.
the
Yeah.
proper
Yeah,
way to
I
do
wouldn't
it,
tie it.
rather
You
than
can't.
take our applicant through the whole process with us. Right.
And also, you'd need a renotice.
Right.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think I would
Yeah.
like to,
We don't wanna-
encompass everything,
Yeah.
To give us
Drag
the
this
maximum, play area
They're
to.
two separate things. There's
Mm-hmm.
this application, and then it eliminated some confusing text that we should clean up down the road.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Then when we,
And if and when we decide to start cleaning stuff up, the issue that we ran into the first time is, do we put it out for public comment? To get their, tap the brains of the retailers as to what they think would be helpful, which was, that became a little bit more complicated, if I remember correctly.
It might be news to
Hours,
them.
hours
Really?
of testimony.
Jeez.
Well, after we do our research, you're not saying that we're stuck with this language. This is the language in subsection B.
B.
It's either this or
oh,
nothing.
we haven't approved.
Obviously, we haven't approved it yet, but
I know.
after we do our research with regard to what Jack's gonna present to us, and
We may suggest some changes to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I mean, it's not a
Which is
question.
fine.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a question of, I mean, any changes that we suggest aren't necessarily noticed either.
right, but that, within the confines of this text amendment and this
Yeah.
application, we wouldn't have to.
In whatever
revisit.
sections of the
Right.
regs, obviously. So what would you want to see, any plaza over 40,000 square feet?
The 40s to 75.
The 40s to 75, yeah.
Just see who pops up.
Who's over 100?
Again, off the top of my head, I don't.
All right, maybe get us
What's
those.
Ocean State
Yeah,
travel?
between 40 and 75, again,
48.
it,
Huh?
48 or 45.
48, like
Yeah,
the
they'd
Home
fit-
Depot.
Yeah,
the existing Ocean State.
No, no, no. Are you
I'm
asking,
asking
what are
what-
the 100,000
Yeah.
square foot structures in town? I would think the Home Depot.
And not,
Target, is that?
Target could be too.
Possibly Target,
not Ocean
possibly.
State.
No, Ocean, the proposed one is
Not the
48,000.
proposed one, the
The
other
other,
one.
it's
What's the
tiny.
existing one?
It is?
Yeah, it's
It's
smaller.
tiny. I'm there 4 times a week.
30,000
Yeah, it
ish
is
is their
smaller.
current.
She's
The,
the
the
expert.
bigger buildings are going to be on this area or on this end of the post road. I think towards
Yeah.
the other end of the post road, towards Milford, you have a lot of smaller tenancies, but or tenants. I would like to see what the actual size of the buildings are. It's tough to imagine when
Right.
you have one tenant in 75,000 square feet and 10 tenants in 30,000 square feet.
Right, I'm thinking about that DSW
Right.
section.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Trader Joe's one I know is technically one building.
Right, that's-
But it's a lot of tenant spaces.
Exactly. It's like,
Right.
you know,
Red
you have
Bob's is going
11
Yeah.
or 12 different people in there, so.
Right.
Yeah.
We probably do have a lot of properties that fit between this 40
I
and
think so, too.
75, that we could definitely take a look at.
All right,
And I think they'll vary between, might be one tenant, might be
Yeah.
12 or 15,
right.
so,
I think it makes sense for us to take a look at that before we do anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely.
But I'm not adverse to the idea of amending the regulation to make it,
Hmm.
you know.
Better than it is.
A little,
yeah,
little, more- little,
more-
more,
better
little
for-
more
better
reasonable.
for businesses in
Yeah.
town.
Right, of course.
Right.
All right, so we'll keep the public hearing open.
When's your
Jack
next
has some
meeting?
homework.
Anything else?
When's your next meeting?
2 weeks from
2
today.
weeks from
2 weeks from today, okay,
Yes,
so that's
first and third.
Tuesday.
And we'll do our homework quickly.
18.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, 18.
All right, is there anything else, or?
I don't believe so, I think that's it.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
All right,
you.
good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
don't forget your props.
Got my tape measure.
All right, so we'll keep the public hearing open to our next meeting.
Makes sense.
Take it from there.
Good.
All right.
It's April 18th, yeah.
All right, that concludes our agenda.
Move to adjourn?
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
I will second that.
Seconded, all those in favor? Aye.
Good.
All right, thank you.